Welcome back to another class on Halacha for Women. We are in the sefer called Otzara Danim by Rabbi Yosef Shlita. Today we have a very important Halacha when it comes to doing Mitzvoth. When it comes to doing Mitzvoth, there are two kavanot, there are two intentions that a person has to have. One prior to doing the mitzvah, and one while he's doing the mitzvah. To understand Rabbi Yosef Shlita, we need to first go ahead and do the Shulchan Aruch in Simon Samach, Halacha Dalet, and also the Mishabur in Sivkat and Zayin. The Shulchan Aruch says, Yesh omrim she'en mitzvot tzrichot kavanah. There are some rabbis, they want to learn that when it comes to fulfilling your obligation in doing a mitzvah, you don't have to have any prior kavanah in doing the mitzvah. You could go ahead and do the mitzvah without thinking anything prior to doing the mitzvah. V'yesh omrim, however, and there are those that say, she'tzrichot kavanah letzet ba'asiyat ota mitzvah. No, they learn, you need to have prior kavanah, you need to have prior intention in order to fulfill your obligation in doing that mitzvah. So I want you guys to pay close attention. There are two types of kavanot that you have to have when it comes to doing mitzvot. One kavanah is prior to doing the mitzvah. One kavanah is during the mitzvah. We have over here two separate opinions. One of them want to learn that when it comes to fulfill your obligation in the mitzvah, you don't have to have any prior kavanah. Go ahead and do the mitzvah and we're going to give you the check mark as if you did the mitzvah, not as if you did the mitzvah. Another opinion says absolutely not. If you didn't have prior kavanah in doing the mitzvah, you haven't fulfilled your obligation for that mitzvah. Now, the interesting part about this halacha is, in general, there are rules when you learn Shulchan Aruch. For example, if the Shulchan Aruch brings down a halacha without stating or without saying Yesh Omrim, he just brings the halacha down without saying those two words, it's called Stam, it's called an anonymous opinion. And then if he brings down after the anonymous opinion, if he brings down V'yesh Omrim, the rule is whenever you have Stam, like it was mentioned in general without the Yesh Omrim, when you have Stam and then you have V'yesh Omrim, halach is always like Stam. These are rules when it comes to Paskin halachot in the Shulchan Aruch. However, what happens if I have like now, Yesh Omrim, there are those that say, Mitzvot, there are those that say when it comes to doing Mitzvot, you don't have to have any prior kavanah. But then we have another Yesh Omrim that say absolutely not. They say that you must have kavanah prior to doing the mitzvah, otherwise you haven't done the mitzvah at all. So now you have over here Yesh V'yesh, and the rule is, whenever you have that form of language, there are those that say, and then again it repeats and says there are those that say, the halacha is, usually we go after the second one, the second Yesh Omrim. However, in this halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, something is very strange. The Shulchan Aruch, he brings down the first opinion that says, you don't have to have prior kavanah in doing the mitzvah, and we're going to say that you fulfilled the mitzvah the best possible way. But then he brings me another opinion that says that you must have kavanah prior to doing the mitzvah, because if you didn't have kavanah, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. So really the halacha is like this opinion right now. But the Shulchan Aruch says, V'chein halacha, you will rarely see that he's going to go ahead and say V'chein halacha, because we already know the rule. But the Shulchan Aruch himself is telling you, the halacha is like the second opinion, he's strengthening his words. We know the rule, whenever it's Yesh V'yesh, halacha ki yesh batra. Whenever there's a machloket between rabbis against rabbis, meaning if the language is used, there are those that say and there are those that say, we follow the second, there are those that say. But the Shulchan Aruch over here says, V'chein halacha, like the second Yesh Omrim, like the second, there are those that say. So, Rabotai, if that's complicated, it's fine, don't worry, I'm just trying to show you how important it is to go ahead and have kavanah prior to doing a mitzvah. Now, what kind of kavanah do I have to have prior to do a mitzvah? I want to daven Shemona Esrei, I want to put on tefillin, I want to put on tzitzit. Or for a woman, you want to light the candles, you want to say Birkat Hamazon, you want to daven Shemona Esrei, you want to do Hafrashat Challah, the separating of the Challah. You want to put on your covering. You want to be modest. There are kavanot you have to have. It's not only about going about and just doing it. You want to prepare for Shabbat. It's not just go ahead and do the mitzvah of the preparation of Shabbat. But what prior kavanot do I have to have when it comes to doing the mitzvah? So this is what we want to see right now. In Simchat and Zayin, the Mishnah Berurah says, that you should know. From what is explained from the poskim, from our rabbis, Shnei kavanot yesh mitzvah. There are two kavanot to any given mitzvah. Let's do this. I should have done it over here. Let me first do this one more time so you guys have it clear. And then we're going to move on to this piece. I just want to make sure you guys have it clear. Okay. So let's just do this. When it comes to having kavanah prior to doing the mitzvah, there are two opinions. First opinion, some say when it comes to doing mitzvot, one doesn't have to have intention in doing the mitzvah. Meaning, prior to doing the mitzvah, you don't have to have any form of intention. You could go ahead, light the candle, say Birkat Hamazon, we're going to tell you did the mitzvah the best possible way. However, there are others that say, again, some say, you need to have intention in doing the mitzvah. If you want to fulfill your obligation in that mitzvah, you must have prior intention before you start the mitzvah in order to fulfill your obligation in that mitzvah. According to them, if you didn't have kavanah, according to this opinion, you did not fulfill your obligation in that mitzvah, and you have to go ahead and redo it again. Now, so this is what it means. Yesh omrim, some say. V'yesh omrim, some say. Now, whenever you have some say and some say, Halacha follows the second some say. What's very interesting, the Shulchan Aruch himself concludes the halacha is with the second opinion. Now this is very important to know. When we say over here that you have to have prior kavanah in doing the mitzvah in order to be able to fulfill your obligation in that mitzvah, the Shulchan Aruch holds like him. That means according to the Shulchan Aruch, if you went ahead and you did the mitzvah without having the prior kavanah, and we'll see what exactly that prior kavanah is. If you didn't have that prior kavanah, according to the Shulchan Aruch, you did not fulfill your obligation. We're going to see, Rabotai, that b'di'evet, that if it already happened, we're going to let it go. We're going to give you the credit. But nevertheless, when it comes to doing mitzvot, there are ways you can do the mitzvah the best possible way or the least effective way. It's up to you, Rabotai. How do you want to serve Hashem? Do you want to serve Hashem, just to get over with it? Or do you really want to connect to Hashem? And one of the ways to connect to Hashem, besides learning Torah and davening, is in doing mitzvot. It's a means for us to be able to connect to Hashem. I'm going to give you a small example. Baruch Hashem, right now is the summer, right? And the kids, they go to camp. So you know how it is. This one wants $20, this one wants $50, this one wants $40. I want to ask you a question. Why can't the parents just give the son or the daughter, their whole allowance for one whole month? Give them whatever, let's say $500, for example. Give it to them. Why should they keep on coming back to you? Let them have the money and that's it. You don't have to see them again, chas v'shalom. The point is, if you're going to give them that $500, that's exactly what's going to happen. They're not going to come back and ask you. You're not going to see them as often. But when you give them, let's say $20 now, and after they usually have to come back to you, $20 again, and $20 again, and $20 again, look how much you are able to connect with them. Same thing with us. If we really want to connect to Hashem, it's not only about just to do the mitzvah and that's it, or learn Torah. Some people tell me, Rabbi, I learn Torah 1 hour Shabbat, that's it, it's good enough for me. I don't have to learn Torah the whole week. It doesn't work like that. By doing mitzvah, every mitzvah that we do, it connects us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. By you telling me, okay, Rabbi, I daven, that's it, I'm good for the whole day. It's not about being good for the whole day. You're like that child, just give me $500 and I don't want to see you. No, it's about davening during the day, saying Asher Yatzar with Kavanah, saying Birkat Hamazon with Kavanah. Everything's doing mitzvot. As you do mitzvot throughout the day, You're connecting yourself to Hashem. That's what Hashem Dafka did the mitzvot. He gave us mitzvot in order for us to be able to connect to Him. We think you have to go to, the Kivrei Tzadikim, to the cemetery of the righteous rabbis, which is nice. But Rabotai, you don't have to travel so far to connect to Hashem. You could do it from your own house. You could do it from your own car, from your couch. Direct from there, do the mitzvah. You're saying one bracha, shahakol, have kavanah. And that's what we want to learn today, Rabotai. So, just to get back into over here, if the Shulchan Aruch passes like him, like this opinion, and I'll tell you what this opinion is, just give me 1 second. V'yesh omrim, this opinion is the Bahag and the Rosh. Baal Halachot Gidolot and the Rosh Rabbeinu Asher, Rishonim Rabotai. The Shulchan Aruch concludes with them. Now we need to understand something very important. I don't know how many people know this, but do you know that the Shulchan Aruch holds that when Shabbat comes out, he wants you to hold the Rabbeinu Tam time? Now this is not a lecture for this, but I just want to explain to you how important this is. You see something? Okay, let me do this. Let me just stay here. I want to show you something. If, let's just say, for argument's sake, Shabbat comes in at 8 o'clock, right? Shabbat comes in, well, let's say candle lighting is at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. That means Shabbat comes in 18 minutes later, 8:18. All right, let's do this. Shabbat comes in 8:18. When the Shabbat comes out the following day, there's two opinions, according to the Geonim and Rabbeinu Tam. According to the Geonim, Shabbat comes out at 9 o'clock p.m. According to the Geonim, give it just another half an hour, it comes out at 9:30 p.m. I want to show you something. Do you know that the Shulchan Aruch, Rishonim, Achronim, and other great poskim hold that one should take out the later time of Shabbat? We always go, I personally don't go with the earlier time. I go with the later time. Baruch Hashem. Me and my wife go with the later time. My kids go with the earlier time, because you can't force religion on other people. Especially when you're dealing with your own kids. You don't want to make them do anything unnecessary, so they're not going to chas v'shalom resent Torah or Hashem tomorrow. So me and my wife hold Rabbeinu Tam. Our kids hold the time of the Geonim. Now, why am I saying this? The Shulchan Aruch holds like this time, just like he holds over here. That means, according to the Shulchan Aruch, one who goes ahead and he starts doing things on 9:29, he is desecrating the Shabbat. But you're going to ask me, Rabbi, I don't get it, but isn't Shabbat really out at 9 o'clock? Correct. So I'm going to tell like this. Rav David Yosef Shlita, who's now the Rishon LeZion, says this that we hold 9 o'clock, right, not 9:30, that is based on the Geonim, which you're able to rely on them 100%. You have nothing more to worry about. However, he says that this is the minhag today, it's the custom, but it's better to be stringent like Rabbeinu Tam. Especially when it's Shabbat, or Rosh Hashanah, or Yom Kippur, right? Anything which is from the Torah, you want to try to go ahead and be stringent. Why am I saying this? A lot of us don't realize that when the Shulchan Aruch paskins a certain way, you want to try to be extra careful in that mitzvah. Even though, like I just said, over here you could be lenient. Over here also, if a person, let's say he didn't, like for example, like we're going to learn today, if you went there and you said Birkat Hamazon and you didn't have prior kavanah before saying Birkat Hamazon, we're not going to go back and repeat the whole Birkat Hamazon. We're not going to do that. Why? Because we're really going to rely on this opinion that states, if you don't, which says that you don't have to have prior kavanah, so we could fall back on another opinion. But if you want to be able to do the mitzvah the best possible way, lichatchila, which means the initial way we want you to do it is like this. Same thing over here, Rabotai, if you can, without causing shalom bayit, without causing family problems in the house, if you can, you definitely should try to be stringent and keep the Rabbeinu Tam time, and not the time of the Geonim, even though you're allowed to do so. It's just you have to remember the Shulchan Aruch, the Rishonim, Achronim, they hold the time of Rabbeinu Tam. In any event, let's move now to the next section. Okay. Now we're about to start to learn these two important points when it comes to doing mitzvot. Remember, if you went ahead and you did the mitzvah without prior kavanah, b'di'evid, we're going to give you the mitzvah. We're going to say you did it. I'm going to give you an example. A person, a secular Jew, comes and he says, Rabbi, what's this? I say, it's a lulav and etrog. He takes it, he shakes it. He doesn't know what, no bracha, nothing. He doesn't know. He shakes it. He does. Everybody's doing it. He's doing it. Okay. We're going to say, you did the mitzvah of lulav. Don't have to go back and bless. You did the mitzvah of shaking the lulav. Why? Because there's a pin that holds you don't have to have prior kavanah before doing the mitzvah. But did he do it the best possible way? No. Before he started doing it, he should have actually prepared himself, and he should have the proper kavanah in doing the mitzvah. And this is what we want to speak about now. What does it mean to have proper kavanah prior, and what does it mean to have kavanah during the mitzvah? Two important points. Remember, it's not only doing the mitzvah, but it's also how you do the mitzvah. And now we're going to see this inside in the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkat and Zayin. So this is what I want to say. That's why it's good that I caught on to it before I read this whole piece. So one more time, the Mishnah Berurah says, "Da, you should know. The lefia mitba'er min poskim, from what it is explained from the poskim. Shnei kavanot yesh mitzvah. There are two kavanot. There are two intentions when it comes to doing mitzvot. Echad, the first kavanah, kavanat alev mitzvah atzma. Having intention in the mitzvah itself. Now, we haven't spoken about this at all right now in the Shulchan Aruch. What the Shulchan Aruch was speaking about was about this second kavanah, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean. But this kavanah we haven't spoken about at all. Why? When it comes to this kavanah, we're going to see the Mishnah Berurah is going to tell you, everybody agrees that when it comes to doing the mitzvah, when you're in the act of doing the mitzvah itself, everybody says you have to have intention in the mitzvah itself. Meaning to say, you can't be thinking about anything else. How many men do you know, especially maybe your husbands or your brothers or your fathers, while they're saying Birkat HaMazon, they're helping their wives out? How many men, or if you go to the shul, or even women, while they're davening Shemon Esrei, they're doing other things. They're looking at their phone, or they're staring around. Or when a woman is lighting her candles, she's constantly thinking about how to do this, to do that. She's thinking after do this, after do that. Her mind is not on the mitzvah. Yes, she's physically doing the mitzvah, but her mind is not on the mitzvah. Now I want to make this clear. That first opinion, let's make this very clear. This first opinion, which stated that when it comes to doing mitzvot, one does not have to have intention doing the mitzvah, this was all prior. We're going to see that's in the set. But this opinion is going to tell you also that if you didn't have kavanah in the mitzvah, that's a very big no-no. Again, I'm going to give it to you post facto. If it already happened, we're going to give it to you. But halachically, Rabotai, it's a very big problem. Not they're going to agree, not they're going to agree that is allowed. They're all going to hold. Every single rabbi holds that whenever it comes to doing the mitzvah itself, you must be fully invested in the mitzvah. Like, Rahman Sallallahu, when a person is watching a soccer game, I don't know how people watch soccer, or a game, he's fully invested. Nothing crosses his mind, not work, not bathroom break, nothing. Nobody bothers him. Phone is off because he wants to be fully concentrated. Lahavdal, Elav, Lahavdal, I don't want to compare the two. But are we at that level when it comes to doing mitzvot? Are we fully disconnected from the world when it comes to doing mitzvot? Unfortunately not. When we're doing mitzvot, we have another 5 million things on our mind what we have to do. We can't even say Asher Yatzah with proper kavanah. How long does it share? 20 seconds, 30 seconds? Either we have to walk, either we have to check our phones, either we have to dry our hands. Again, listen, I can tell you right now, all this is fine, nice and beautiful. You're doing the mitzvah, I'm very happy for you. But are you doing it the best possible way? Absolutely not. So when it says over there that you have to have the kavanah in the mitzvah itself, make no mistake that this rabbi and this rabbi, they're going to both tell you that if you didn't have kavanah in the mitzvah itself, you don't fulfill the mitzvah the way it's supposed to be done. Okay, so let's go back over here. So let's see this one more time. Kavanat alav mitzvah atzma. The first kavanah, the first intention a person has to have, he says kavanat alav. You know what? Do you know what means kavanat alav? What does it mean? The intention of the heart is when you tell a person to focus. Is he focusing with his heart or is he focusing with his head? What do you mean kavanat alav? Kavanat alav literally means you have to have intention in your brain, but we want your heart to also be in it. We want your heart to be in it. When you go party, your heart is in it. When you shop, your heart is in it. When you sleep, your heart, when you do anything, your heart is in it. But when it comes to mitzvot, our heart is not in it, unfortunately. How many of us feel that when it comes to mitzvot, we're doing it just to get over with it? We're not doing it just to prolong the time with the mitzvah. We're doing it just to say, okay, I did it. How many? Because, Rabotai, unfortunately, that means if we have that inside of us, we're not understanding what it means to connect to Hashem. You know, Chas Hashem Lo'olenu, Rabotai, if a husband Lo'olenu goes to 15 years to jail, and now they give the wife an opportunity to see him once every 10 months, for example. Tell me, when the wife is going to come to see her husband, is she going to make every second count? Or she's going to be looking at her watch when she's going to come out? If they're going to give her 12 hours to sit with him, she's going to sit with him 12 hours. 50 hours, she'll sit with him 50 hours. Why? Because she wants to spend time with her husband. Same thing with us. When it comes to mitzvot, do we want to spend time with our Father in heaven, yes or no? And if the answer is no, it's okay. Be honest with yourself and start working on it, making it a yes.